This is one way that we are saying that there is a reason why there is some delay. And to us, are we trying to dissolve the 50-year franchise of the NGCP? Is that the reason, Mr. Chairman?
Barely 2 months prior to the statutory deadline that was set by the franchise law that was given to NGCP, nag-file kayo ng petition for the approval of the extension of the period for listing of the shares of stock of the NGCP.
You know why I know this? Because I am one of the foremost proponents for the interconnection of Mindanao to the rest of the grid. Visayas already has interconnection with Luzon. But why Mindanao is not yet in? Even during the time of President Pinoy, he was in Iligan City. I spoke there that President Pinoy already support the NGCP to make sure that we interconnect Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So now it's interconnected. And so now there will be many more power generation companies that will come to Mindanao because if we have excess, they can sell it, especially Luzon, who has a very tight supply on energy. Next, Mr. Chairman, that is why we cannot blame NGCP for the delay, at least for the Visayas, Mindanao interconnection. The next problem is Lanao del Norte. Right of way, you cannot just, you cannot just be able to dig and put your transmission lines there because, or put posts there because our Muslim brothers in Lanao del Norte will object. And in fact, they have objected. So what did we do? We were able to talk to the governor and the congressman of Lanao del Norte. It took so much time also because they had to talk with the owners of the properties. And so to be able to put just point, Secretary Garin, my former colleague, to state that it's 5 years delay and we should penalize them and to the ERC to increase the penalties. We have to look at the reasons. And in fact, if we see the reasons for delay, the right-of-ways that could not be immediately be secured, it stops the project. And so that is why, Attorney Malyari, we thank you. Because Mindanao is now interconnected to Visayas and Mindanao. There are more companies that are putting up power generation plants in Mindanao because they can now sell to Luzon and the Visayas if they have excess capacity. And right now, I tell you, because of the development of Mindanao, brought about by President Bongbong Marcos, nakapasok na. So, we expect, if you will see the NEDA report, Region 11 followed by Region 10, there's a lot of companies going there, and therefore there will be a need for more watts and more power companies. And so we cannot, my dear colleague Sharon, who has been, with us, presentations like this looks like, NGCP has not done its job. But let me tell you that based on my personal experience, at least these two right-of-ways problem easily would cause the delay. So what I'm saying here, Mr. Chairman, is let us look at the reasons for the delay. Because NGCP would want to connect all of these grids and all of our consumers because it is for the best interest of the company. They will be able to charge more. And so those are my experiences, and that's why I am here to state that NGCP, as far as Mindanao is concerned, has interconnected us, and we are now doing well in terms of our electricity provisions, our electricity supply, and we are assured that the thing that happened in 1997, 98 will not happen again to Mindanao. And therefore, this is one way that we are saying that there is a reason why there is some delay. And to us, are we trying to dissolve the 50-year franchise of the NGCP? Is that the reason, Mr. Chairman? The BIR, in the hearing of the Ways and Means, clearly stated, NGCP has paid all the tax liabilities of the company by Mr. Romeo Lumagi, that BIR chief. ARC chairman has stated, is it that correct, Madam Chair Di Malanta, that you said that there has been a compliance of the tax responsibilities of NGCP?
Mr. Chair, in another hearing po, we confirmed that what we have seen from our records is compliance with the 3% franchise
Yes,
tax.
precisely, that was the issue. NGCP has complied. BIR has complied. Now, why are we here? Why are we going to, try to make it, make the NGCP look bad? Let us hear them, Mr. Chairman. And that is why, Mr. Chairman, you already have the list. And those are the issues. I counted a dozen issues. What you asked them were to submit papers, but let them answer. The ones that you mentioned in the early part of this hearing, the issue of the Chinese controlling NGCP. What is their answer? I'd like to have that. The share agreement. What is the share agreement clear? That really there is an agreement that the Chinese will control, because I'm always against the Chinese, especially in the West Philippine Sea. And we don't want them to control the NGCP and transmission in this country. So I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that the position paper on these issues, you have listed a dozen issues. Let them answer directly. Submission of documents is okay. But then these are specific issues, and I appreciate the committee in the December 23 hearing that we have identified these issues, and let them submit a position paper to all of us so that we can see, because if there is a violation of that, I'll be the first one to move and file a bill to cancel the NGCP. Just when I filed a bill to suspend the franchise of Cebu Pacific because we were delayed for one day from Cagayan de Oro. And that caused them to really improve. Before, they had only 2 standby planes, Pacific. Now they have 5 because I filed this particular bill to suspend. There has to be. Motu proprio, Mr. Chairman, we can do it. But there has to be clear violations that is clear, because under our Constitution, everybody, there should be no deprivation of life, liberty, or property, Article 2, Section 2, without due process of law. And NGCP has property intangible, which is the 50-year franchise. And so therefore, Mr. Chairman, I have said my piece. And so just to answer the report of our dear colleague, Sharon Garin, but let me tell you, us in Mindanao are enjoying the interconnection, delayed, better late than never. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez. At least this motu proprio hearing was called not to make any entity look bad, but for your information, it's just really to try to understand why all these delays are happening, and also for us to see the effect of the delays in the price of electricity, the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez. At least meron po nagpapasalamat, maski na mag-delay ka ng 6 years, nagpapasalamat si Honor, hindi, 2018 po to 2024, 6 years po yan. And this is, so at least may nagpapasalamat, 6 years delay, nagpapasalamat pa rin si Honorable Rufus Rodriguez. Maraming salamat, Honorable Rufus. But anyway, the Honorable Sharon Garin, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, I'm supposed to be next, so I can question Yusek Sharon Garin. Ako na muna.
There was a
It is
question
literally-
raised by the Honorable Rufus, and it was kind of addressing the position of ERC, so I will have to give them a chance to reply. The Honorable Sharon Garin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, that's correct. We're actually, DOE is very grateful that it's connected kasi nababato na yung excess power. But, Mr. Chair, just for the information of our of the body, I'm actually heading a committee in DOE checking why are there delays, and we are very familiar of the problems, whether it's the tree cutting permit or the DNR permit or even the DA for the conversion on DAR. Even for LGUs, there are issues, Mr. Chair. But the issue on the right-of-way, actually, sir, kaya siya nag-privatize, no? Kasi that should be done by the private entity. Now, if your deadline, if your target completion is 2008, then you start your right-of-way before the 2008. Now, the problem in Mindanao, Visayas interconnection was only brought to us, the NGCP, a year ago, na sinasabi na may problem dun sa golf course. Actually, the solution was very simple. Just transfer the towers or transfer the holes. And it was resolved with the interagency. Na-resolve naman siya kaagad. Hindi na pumunta sa korte to yun. But those are problems that can be resolved. That it is not in the, hindi naman yan obligasyon ng DOE, but we do go beyond our responsibility para matapos lang. Kasi everybody wins naman and everybody loses if it doesn't get constructed. Now, the second thing, Mr. Chair, is ang right-of-way issues kasi, we regularly write the Supreme Court to give priority to the cases of NGCP. We've done that, and it has, as you see, there was better progress in these past years. Pero, Mr. Chair, sometimes ang right-of-way nila, mga 5 taon din yung tagal eh. Baka sa, di ko alam paano nila ginagawa sa legal nila, but I don't think in lawyers it takes about 5 years. Now, the third part, Mr. Chair, is the applications eminent domain is under the name of NGCP. It should be under Transco. Kung government kasi yan, iba yung process and faster. So, mangyayari ngayon, there will be a private negotiation pa between NGCP and the landowner. So, that takes time. That's really the part that takes longer. And then the legal process, mas madali na sana yun kasi we can assist, we can certify that this is a project of national significance, and then it will be a faster process. So there are nuances in the franchise and in the concession agreement that can improve. But also there are provisions that are already there that kung sundin lang ng NGCP, siguro mas mabilis yung right-of-way process natin. But yes, again, we are quite thankful for NGCP for finishing it, kahit delayed man siya, basta natapos lang. Although it had a major impact on the...
Mr. Chair.
Very much the Honorable.
Mr. Chair.
The Chair recognizes the Senior Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Don Gonzales Jr. of the 3rd District of Pampanga. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Chairman.
And from the 2nd District of Antipolo City, the Honorable Romy Acop. Welcome. And of course, si Ramon Rodriguez Gutierrez of One Rider. Welcome, Rog. We now proceed to the next speaker, the Honorable Presley
Mr. Chair,
the Honorable
yes, just,
Senior, the Honorable
you,
Stella Kimbo. The Honorable, meron nga palang interjection na
Just,
si the Honorable Kimbo.
Interjection.
Yes.
With respect to the 3% franchise tax, I heard Chair De Malanta say that compliant naman po ang NGCP. However, based on our hearing last week, na nandun po kasi ako, at narinig ko po si Chair De Malanta mismo ang nagsabi na meron pong problema mula 2011 hanggang 2021. Hanggang 2022. Kasi po, maliwanag naman po sa batas na yun lang naman po ang katangi-tanging buwis na binabayad po ng NGCP. So yun po, franchise tax in lieu of all other taxes. Ibig sabihin po, hindi na po kailangan magbayad ng income tax, etc. ang NGCP. Therefore, hindi po dapat pinapass on to the consumers itong franchise tax. Kaya nga lang po, mula 2011 hanggang 2022, itong 3% franchise tax ay pinas on po sa ating consumers in the form of higher prices. Yun po ang naging finding ng ERC at yun po ay nireport po sa amin ni Chair De Malanta. Kaya po, tinanong po namin sa kanya, in which case, hindi ba dapat may, in effect, kumbaga po, may utang ang NGCP sa kanyang customers, in effect. Or this is something that we can actually debate and discuss. And tinanong namin kung magkano po ang kabuang amount na yan. Ang sabi po ni Chair Di Balanta, if my memory serves me right, is 204 billion. Or sinabi ni Chair Joey, how much is that?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
With your permission, for the franchise tax, based on our calculations alone, Mr.
Please speak
Chair,
closer to the microphone, Chairman.
on franchise tax, based on the information only that we have, because we also recommended that BIR weigh in also on the issue because they have the primary documents. It's 21 billion from 2016 to 2022. The 204, ma'am, is on the reset po yun. So,
So-
just on franchise tax, 24.
20,
Ay, 21, sorry. 21 billion.
so from 2016,
2016.
from 2011
We don't
to
have
2015.
the information, Mr. Chair. That's why we recommended that BIR.
So it's
also-
at least 21 billion pesos. So, yun lang po, Mr. Chair.
So, in short, they're not compliant.
Exactly, Mr. Chair.
That's your point. They're
Yes,
not
Mr. Chair.
compliant. And they still owe government.
Or they were not compliant from 2011 up to 2022 with respect to the not passing of the 3% franchise tax to the consumers.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Stella Kimbo, the Senior Vice Chair of the Committee on Appropriations. So now, the Honorable Presley De Jesus.
Thank you,
Sir,
Mr.
point of order, Mr. Chairman.
The Honorable Dan Fernandez.
Do we have a list of those who will interpellate? Para atang 2 oras na po akong nakaupo
Ayaw nga
dito,
pala.
hindi pa po ako natatawag. And I'm number
I'm so
3
sorry.
in the list,
The
Mr.
Honorable
Chairman.
Presley, I'm sorry.
Hindi, pero kung maikli lang po yan, it's okay.
Mr. Chair, I have only quick question to Yusek
So,
Sharon.
may sila naman yung sa'yo, no?
Maiksi
So, the
lang.
Honorable Dan Fernandez will yield to you. The Honorable Presley De Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Dan. Thank you. Again, Mr. Chair, maraming salamat sa inyo. No? I would like to ask Yusek Garin, no? with the good presentation kanina, you mentioned that there's couple of delays, no? Marami, di ba? So, yung mga delays ba yun, ano yun? Is it caused by the NGCP alone for not acting on time o maraming, remember, karamihan dyan, right of way. We know that, Mr. Chair, right of way yan. Ang tanong ko, ilan ba dyan yung na sa korte na ngayon, kaya hindi nagpo-proceed yung mga ganyang projects? Meron bang ganon?
Mr. Chair, in the major projects, parang tapos na yata yung if there's a TRO or anything, no. Pero sa right of way meron pa. Also, there are cases that have pending ERC approval also. So it's a combination of everything, Mr. Chair. Like yung sa Panay, there's an issue with the owner and also an issue with DNR. Kaya iba-iba yung reason, Mr. Chair. But the major ones, parang wala namang court case na present because ayaw ng owner, Mr. Chair.
So, in short, Mr. Chair, Yusek, no, hindi lang ito solely fault ng NGCP. Just to make it clear. Kasi sabi mo, may court, may pending sa court, at the same time, is under the review of ERC. So, it's a culmination of all, it's a combination na lahat. So, kasi, ang masama rito, I'm not trying to defend NGCP, no? We're trying to level the playing field. Kasi ang dating, laro, maraming nanonood sa atin, kasalanan ng NGCP kung bakit maraming delays. But straight from the horse's mouth, sabi mo, may problema ERC, may pending, at may mga court pang pending din sa korte. Am I right?
Mr. Chair, those are the reasons bakit na-delay ang NGCP. But those are also their responsibilities to procure, Mr. Chair, based on their concession agreement and then franchise. Responsibility niyan as a transmission network provider and as a system operator. If historically, if you know that it's 2 years to get a right of way, then you apply it way back before the construction, the start of construction. So that is a matter of project planning, Mr. Chair. I don't know if how NGCP does that, but just to explain, Mr. Chair, once we focus on a project with NGCP and we go check what are the problems, it gets resolved naman, Mr. Chair. But we cannot handle all the problems naman. We just focus on the major. Halimbawa, Mindanao, Batangas, Mindoro interconnection. We had an audience with the governor and then introduced NGCP and DOE because they never got the appointment with the DNR or the LGU. So we facilitated kaya, ibig sabihin, these are not problems that are impossible to resolve. Kaya naman.
Yeah.
Nadidelay lang talaga sila.
Would you also agree, pag nagbago ang gobyerno, for example, the former secretary ng DOE, meron siyang gustong transmission development plan that was presented by NGCP. Now, papasok Secretary Tilla na nababago yung kanilang plan. Is there a chance na nangyari yon? Or kasi it was mentioned by Chairman Di Malanta na puro plano, bago-bago. So, wala bang continuity ito? Na kung ano pisang, since lahat naman tayo, this is very important, no? Everyone needs the transmission line in order for our generation na magamit nila yung transmission line. But the problem is, at the end of the day, ang mga consumers ang talo dito. You even mentioned that. So, we conduct this hearing. Ano ba talagang purpose natin? Paabayin ng presyo ng kuryente? Or we just blame one element of the energy family? Remember, NGCP is one of the elements lang yan. Nandyan transmission, generation, distribution, even the IMAP, nandyan lahat. Kompleto tayo. So, pag ito lang gusto natin pababayin ng presyo ng kuryente, ay kailangan lahat dito ma-involve, no? Right now, we have a motto proprio with regard to NGCP. I agree with Kong Rufus. Ano ba talagang purpose natin dito? No? Just the franchise ba? Paano natin tulungan? Remember, we're here in age of legislation. I think it's high time to review the IPIRA law. No? Kasi ang IPIRA law is the problem. No? Do you agree with me, Yusek? Kasi nandun lahat. You just follow the IPIRA law.
Mr. Chair, with all due respect, the IPIRA is actually being reviewed and there is a first phase of
Yes,
revisions.
being
Two
reviewed
actually, PISAM
because
and
Kung
ERC.
Dagok and I are part of the
Yes, Mr.
revision
Chair.
of IPIRA. Kasama kayo ni Chairman. So, kailangan natin ayusin to.
Yes,
no?
sir.
My point is, in age of legislation, kailangan makapagpasa tayo ng batas. So, any suggestion that this committee will recommend sa Kongreso na mapagpasa kami ng batas kung paano mapabilis yung paggawa ng transmission lang. Yun lang, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, we were called here for the franchise itself, Mr. Chair.
So-
So the decision whether there will be another law or there will be a review of the franchise, hindi na po
Anytime-
ako congressman, I leave it to your wisdom,
Mr. Chair, anytime
Mr.
you appear
Chair.
in committee hearing, in aid of legislation, lagi to.
Mr. Chairman.
It
Mr.
doesn't
Chair.
matter. So, kailangan natin magpasa
Mr.
na
Chair.
talagang batas na talagang nararapat dito. So,
Mr.
we cannot
Chair.
name blame.
Mr. Chair, can we follow our rules and proceed with the list of interpellators with due
Yeah.
courtesy to our good and very honorable colleague, Honorable President De Jesus? Meron kasing mga nakalista, Mr. Chair, and
Yes,
we can interject if it is related to the direct question. But I believe we have to go back to the
Yes,
list
the Honorable,
to put order.
The Honorable Garin, it was really Prestige de Jesus, the Honorable Prestige de Jesus.
Ma'am, nagpalista ako eksakto
talaga akong nakalista.
1:11
The Honorable Dan
PM.
Fernandez yielded to the Honorable Prestige.
Mr.
Nagpalista
Chair,
ako, kanina pa nga ako eh.
So, it was
Yeah,
Honorable
I
Prestige.
understand, but I thought, Mr. Chair, the next interpellator was supposed to be Congressman Rufus,
No.
and then
Tapos na ho. Tapos na ho si Honorable Rufus.
the next interpellator will be.
The Honorable Prestige de Jesus. That's
Okay,
why he
and
has
the
the
next
floor.
is,
The Honorable Dan
thought somebody
Fernandez.
nag-yield po si Kong Dan, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, because my understanding, Mr.
I
Chair,
yield
is you can.
for a couple of questions, no? But
Yes.
not for long.
Yeah, but well, just to put things in the, my
Yes.
apologies, Mr. Chair, but just to put things in the proper perspective, I believe if you are listed as an interpolator, you cannot just yield it to somebody else unless there's an interjection. With that, Mr. Chair, maybe if the Honorable Fernandez will yield his time to the Honorable Presley De Jesus, we don't have any objection.
Yes, he did. The Honorable Presley, proceed.
No, I think
For
tapos
your
na
short
ako, baka-
are you done? The Honorable,
Yeah, I'm done with
are you
that.
Thank you
So,
very much, the Honorable
Now,
President.
I want to be my name be listed in the second round.
Okay,
Just
thank
to
you.
make sure that my name will be recalled.
Thank you. You're now
Thank
in
you.
the second round, so that's clear. The Honorable Dan Fernandez.
Okay, are you going to say something?
Yes, point of order lang, Mr. Chair.
Because palitan na ho sila eh. Ang dapat na una si Dan kay Presti, but because kay Honorable Presti, so nagpalitan na ho sila. Sila ho talaga magkasunod. Sila ho yung magkasunod. The Honorable Dan Fernandez.
Mr. Chair, with the indulgence of Congressman Dan, I have a point of order myself.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
What's your point of order?
The motion for the motu proprio is a motion that I filed. And it seems that it's been alluded to twice by our colleagues. I would have appreciated if they had objections to the motu proprio motion, they would have showed it in proper writing or opposed it. But insofar as it was able to garner enough support, then that is why we're pushing through with the motu proprio hearing to review the franchise of NGCP. The very nature why I pushed for this motion, Mr. Chair, is so that we can look into whether or not, number one, NGCP is complying with the franchise that has been provided to them by Congress. Number two is also to look into the efficiency of NGCP with regards to their performance in providing electricity to the Filipino people. So I don't think if there is a question of the wisdom behind the motu proprio inquiry into the franchise, I would have welcomed an opposition in my motion. But to push it forward during the hearing proper, I think it would just be proper, Mr. Chair, that we continue on with what is on the agenda, following what we have already approved as the agenda for the committee hearing, just so that we cannot lose track and focus of the very purpose of why we're here and waste time while our guests are here in front of us. And I'm sure they're also waiting for their opportune time to discuss this matter, Mr. Chair.
J.J. Suarez. Definitely, this motu proprio hearing followed all the rules, and with the permission of the Committee on Rules, that this be done. So we have enough votes for this. So the Honorable Dan Fernandez recognized. Silence requested.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman. And the very reason why we are here right now ay yung sinabi ni Congressman Presley is talagang maibaba yung presyo ng transmission rate. And that's the reason why we've been fighting this for so many years. As a matter of fact, noong 2019 pa, pinaglalaban na po natin itong reset na kung saan ay 2011 ang last recorded na rate reset. And it's been like 13 years. Hanggang ngayon, wala pa po. And that's the reason why we're asking why. Di ba, bakit hindi nagkakaroon ng panibagong set ng rates para sa transmission? And kung mapapababa natin ang lahat ng mga building blocks that the ERC is now evaluating through the RAAC and the NCL, like the return on capital, the CAPEX, the opening RUB, the regulatory asset base, and even the depreciation on the capital, on the return of capital, at even the operating and maintenance expenses, I'm pretty sure, ito pong ating pong hearing na to, magkakaroon ng positibong resulta sa pagbaba ng kuryente ng transmission rate ng ating pong bansa. Now, magsimula po muna tayo dito, Mr. Chairman. Ang tatanungin ko po ay ang NGCP regarding doon po sa inyong IPO na in the last hearing, I mentioned about this IPO. Ano po ba yung legal obligation ng NGCP regarding the public offering na binabanggit ng provision ng ating pong batas? Attorney Malyari, you can answer this.
Your Honor, may I open our franchise law? Just give me 30 seconds.
Sure. It's, simple lang po yun, Attorney Malyari. It's about the franchise law under Section 8.
Meron ka? RA, ano nga na natin?
Okay, ako na lang mag-mention, Attorney Malyari. So under Section 8, ang mandato po ng ating pong NGCP is to offer sa public yung ating pong share of stock. At ito po ay within 10 years from the commencement of its operation. At kung ating pong pagbabasihan yung commencement ng inyong pong operation, nagsimula po kayo noong January 15, 2009. At yung pong inyong statutory deadline ay natapos noong January 14, 2019. Ngayon po ay January 14, 6 years ago. Doon po natapos yung inyo pong deadline para po sa tinatawag mo nating pagpasok po ninyo sa IPO na siya pong tinakda ng Section 8 under Republic Act 9511. So ngayon, Attorney Malyari, I will be asking you a question. Why is this public offering requirement was imposed by law? Ano po ba yung sinasabi nating purpose behind it? Bakit tayo minamandato ng public offering?
Your Honor, as to the wisdom of the legislation, it will be this honorable representation that may be able to expound that because it is indeed written in our franchise. So, bakit minamandato na
Na tayo po ay mag-IPO? Kasi kung titingnan mo po, Attorney Malyari, halos lahat ng mga public utilities, minamandato yan na mag-IPO tayo. I-share natin sa public yung ating pong pag-aari ng ating pong entity dahil public utility to. So, the very rationale of our Constitution under Section 2 of Article 4, Article 12 of the 1987, ay magkaroon ng equity yung ating mga mamayan. To be more transparent, magkaroon tayo ng accountability, and at the same time, yung ownership at yung operation, somehow operation, ay mapapunta sa ating mga kababayan. Most especially, ang ating pong transmission, no, is a natural monopoly. Ang ibig sabihin po ay wala po siyang kakompetensya, and that's the reason why kung wala siyang kakompetensya, kailangan siya ng partisipasyon ng ating pong mga kababayan. Now, I will be asking you again, Attorney Malyari, are there entities in the energy sector or elsewhere na masabi natin that the public offering is also being provided? Meron po ba kayong alam that yung mga public utilities are sharing their ownership to the public?
Your Honor, top of my head, I apologize. I am not aware
Sige,
of other public utilities.
okay,
Top of my
sa
head.
ERC, meron po ba tayo alam na mga public utilities? ERC Commissioner, Chairman Dimalanta?
Yes, Mr. Chair. In fact, the EPIRA requires, under its current form, EPIRA requires generation companies, distribution utilities, as well as for individual franchises, like for telecoms, for example, they have public listing requirement.
Correct. Under Republic Act 79-25, yung ating pong mga public telecommunications mandates na to offer at least 30% sa IPO. At ito pong ating may nilad nung ating pong inaprubahan ng kanilang renewal ng kanilang concession agreement, pumasok din po yung kanilang IPO. And even the Manila Water, ito po yung sinasabi ko in the last hearing, yung pong kanilang mga empleyado, no, sayang wala si Attorney Cynthia, pero during that time, sa hearing, sinabi ko na ang Maynilad, ito pala yun, yung ESOP, Employee Stock Option Plan, na kung saan binigyan nila ng share ang kanilang mga empleyado, which dapat Yun po ang ginawang una ng NGCP kung talagang mahal nila ang kanilang mga employees. Now, tama si Chairman Mona that under the penal law, yung ating pong Republic Act 9136, 15% doon sa ating mga distribution utilities. And isa pang batas na nagsasabi dito ay Republic Act number 8479. Ito po yung Downstream Oil Industry Deregulation Act of 1998 na inaalaw na mapapunta sa public yung 10% of their common stock. Now, ang tanong ko sa iyo, Attorney Malyari, did NGCP meet the legal requirement for an IPO within 10 years from the grant of its franchise?
Your Honor, I would like to read now that I was able to open the Section 8 of NGCP Franchise RA 9511. Dispersal of ownership, Mr. Chair, two ways, Mr. Chair. One is to make a public offering of the shares representing at least 20% of the outstanding capital stock or higher percentage that may hereafter be provided by law. And there's another, Mr. Chair, provided that the listing in the PSE of any company which directly or indirectly owns or controls at least 30% of the outstanding shares of stock of the grantee shall be considered full compliance.
All right. So, tatanungin lang kita, Attorney Malyari. Simple lang yung tanong ko. Did NGCP meet the legal requirement for an IPO within the 10 years period that was mentioned in Section 8, Republic Act 9511? Yes or no?
Your Honor, our legal position is yes.
Yes, your
pursuant to
legal
the-
position is yes. Correct. Now, nung November 13, 2018, para maintindihan po ng ating mga kasamahan at mga nanonood sa atin, para at least maging klaro po. Kasi dito ako ipaglalaban ko that you have violated Section 8, Republic Act 9511. But in your contention, in your statement a while ago, you have mentioned that in May 26, 2022, the order of the ERC was that NGCP was compliant with Section 8. But that was in contrast with the decision of the ERC on March 10, 2021, when they rejected your motion for reconsideration, when you filed a petition on November 13, 2018. Now, ang tanong ko sa iyo, Attorney Malyari, ano ang final nyo nung November 13, 2018 sa ERC with regards to this listing of share of stock of the NGCP?
Mr. Chair, I am not the counsel that personally
Who is the
handled-
proper person to answer my query?
Mr. Chair, can you just give me one minute, Mr. Chair?
Okay, para padadaliin ko na to. Alam ko naman sagot sa mga tanong ko. I just wanted to find out if you know my questions. Now, November 13, 2018, barely 2 months prior to the statutory deadline that was set by the franchise law that was given to NGCP, nag-file kayo ng petition